Alright, so welcome in everyone, Power Hour stream. We'll look at flow, look at charts. Got any questions about the market, feel free to drop them. It's been quiet this afternoon, kind of expected with CPI tomorrow, and then we're supposedly waiting on the Supreme Court ruling on Wednesday. But, um, alright, there. I think we fixed the sound issue, so we should be good now, but yeah, kind of a quieter flow day. Kind of take a peek at the tide, what's going on. Obviously, very bullish here. A lot of big names seeing a lot of net call premium. Put premiums just trailing down to the bid side for most of the afternoon here. A lot of call volume. Pretty just I mean, visually you can see how bullish it is, but let's see what else we got going on here. We had these Palantirs just hit, and these are pre-earnings. We do have a lot of volume on the day, but let's take a peek at them. Yeah, a lot of volume here and a lot of previous open interest too. Let's go back here and look. So 1900 there, about 2000 there. Yeah, I just want to kind of double check that open interest on this tomorrow. But don't like how that IV kind of drops there either. So yeah, kind of a coin flip on one like that. And if anybody has any flow or charts they want me to take a peek at, feel free to drop them in the chat too. Alright, let me pop this out. Okay. Yeah, bid side been pretty light as well there too. Had those HD puts a little earlier in the day, but again, longer term, we're going to see a lot of earnings flow coming up too. And you can just kind of see how that IV's dropping in here and have some flow after, but we don't know if that's related or not. But looking like some put sells there. Let's see, I've heard a ding. Let's see, yeah, ETF flow's been pretty light too. We had those EEMs a little earlier, but not much else really after that too. No, that's not a bad question there, Brad, at all. That's the earnings flow. So anything earnings is gonna be 100% a flip of the coin. I mean, it's very. Earnings are just, it's pretty much a gamble. Like whenever people are playing earnings, I just tell them it's 100% gonna be a gamble. But there's interesting ways you can play earnings. Like you can buy kind of cheaper out of the money contracts. But if you're playing earnings, I just tell everybody treat anything that you're doing for earnings as a 100% loss. You have to be 100% okay losing whatever you're getting there or whatever you're putting in there for earnings. But no, you will get some interesting flow there on earnings. I don't track it just because I will throw in all the earnings flow, and again I harp on it that the earnings is again 100% a gamble there. So I don't trade earnings. I'm not an earnings fan. That chat was kind of put in for the people that do like playing earnings. But again, like earlier, we had those Delta Airline puts here. So let me go find those. So like these 39 days. Oh, okay, these weren't actually earnings flow. Let me go find a better one here. Give me 1 second here. Just see if I can find one here. So like this AKAM flow here. So what I consider earnings flow. So that that contract has to expire that same week. So that's considered earnings flow to me. So like those Delta Airline ones that we were just looking at here. So earnings are tomorrow morning on here, but they're 39 days out. More than likely it's not related to earnings, but we don't know. So that's something that goes in that risky flow channel there where we don't get a clean view on it. But like these AKAMs here, like this is some interesting earnings flow, I'd say. I mean, 39 days, they earnings are that Thursday. So I mean like this, and the thing with earnings flow too, that IV, and when you do that deep analysis on the flow, it essentially means nothing with earnings because earnings are pretty much driven by that conference call and the guidance. And again, we don't know what this person could know what's coming in that call, but we don't know. That's the issue with earnings. So I always just tell people if you're taking earnings, you have to be ready to lose 100% of what you're putting in. So like if you're playing earnings, further or cheaper contracts are a little better, just so you're not kind of tying up so much money in something like that. But yeah, I don't play earnings. I played earnings once on Robinhood, and I did all this research on the company. They had their first profitable quarter. Robinhood tanked. Never played earnings again because it is a 100% gamble, no matter what. No matter what anybody tells you, it is a 100% gamble. About these KCs, a little further dated. What do we got? 1,000 there, about 800 there. My guess is this should mostly carry over, but we'll see. I don't like that IV how it's dropping there, though. It's dropping for a majority of that trade as well. How's that earlier candle look? Yeah, and I mean, you're up 22% on the day as well. 75.62. Yeah, that IV is dropping. And again, it's not 100% a science where you see that IV drop and it doesn't mean that stock's not going to shoot up. But, I mean, there's plenty of instances where that IV's moving around, you're not getting a super clean read on it, and that stock moves in the correct direction. There's just little rules and guidelines that you have to kind of follow. At least personally, that I like to follow here. Let's look at these gap calls. These are interesting. These just kind of hit before the stream started. 220.30 call. Not right at the ask, but let's go take a peek. Previous open interest here. Yeah, so definitely a new opener today. Let's go take a peek here. So I like this gap flow. Do we overlap earnings? We do not. So IV spikes. We are coming in pretty much at the ask here. I want to keep an eye on that bid-ask spread though. 41.78. So that spot's increasing at the end here. I like that. And that IV's increasing. I really like these gaps. These are going to go into our flow alerts. These look clean. So like this is what I'm looking for with flow essentially. Like this is a really good clean read. I wish it was. I'm trying to see why that bid ask looked messed up there. I think it was that one little contract there, but just see how that spot price is rising, IV's rising. It's very clean textbook and you can easily read it there. So and it's definitely an opening trade too. We had 1,500 contracts come in. We did have some open interest. Again, that 1,500 is larger than the 1,200, so automatically 100%, no doubt. This is an opening trade. Let me pop this in here, and we'll kind of look at gap a little bit more too here. Let me just get this in the chat, though. Let me throw this in here. This is actually going to be a good flow alert. So let's pop this in here. Yeah, and being like what you saw me do at the beginning there. Like I went back and just look. I just like to see how that other volume kind of looks there too. I mean, you have some spikes here. It just visually you can tell it's more than likely not related, and obviously if it's an opening trade too, it's shouldn't be related. But again, you just never know. You just never know. Well, let's see what else we got on Gap because that flow is actually pretty interesting here. So okay, let's go 14 days out. So a lot of call premium kind of dipping there. Flat today. What do we got here? So short-term put here. It looks like those puts are probably related to each other. 2%, so some previous open interest on these. Anything interesting on those? Yeah, like this one, you have that large candle before. We don't know. We don't know what's coming and going from that one. Like that big candle was 27.73, it looks like. And today between the two, it's about 2,000. So it looks clean on this page, but again, kind of looking back at the history on that contract, they could be getting out. This is one where you have to wait for that open interest to update tomorrow, but let's kind of look at the flow here, see if we get any ideas. So that IV is increasing here. 43. Yeah, so I mean, I'd read these as a buy for sure, but I would definitely want to double check that open interest tomorrow. That would be the number one thing I'd do. I wouldn't grab anything on this right now, just since I'm unsure on if what's going to carry over. Let's see, and so those were the calls. I think this is no, it's not multi-leg. I was guessing it's multi-leg and related to that, but I was wrong. Another no side there. Let's just take a peek. Yeah, so I'm in that 39-day one. That is by far your heaviest, more, I'd say, shorter midterm premium on that one. You got some long-term dated puts, but again, that could be earnings related. You just never know. I really like those calls, so I like those calls. What if anybody shared that? No. Yeah, premiums though, I mean, just kind of sitting sideways after some bid side. How's that gamma look on it? Yeah, I mean, gamma's been decreased a lot. So, I mean, like, kind of looking at this, I would say maybe longer term dated downside. Again, this isn't a one all break all for the trades. I do want to go look at the chart too. Let's see how gap chart looks. Okay, let's pop this out to the weekly. So just your weekly view here. I mean, you're testing that uptrend here. It's going to be a big spot. Big spot there. And we had a lot of, I like last week's volume candle here. That volume candle last week is very strong volume wise too. And I mean, that's a strong volume week there. Kind of look at it on the daily. So yeah, I mean, most of that came from, looks like Wednesday here. I mean, that was a heavy volume day and finished near that top of that trend line. So yeah, I mean, kind of comparing that to the chart, my risk on the daily would probably be a close below that 28.30 if I took that flow there. Could almost take it as a momentum entry should you break above that and kind of look for some continuation. We have any unfilled gaps still? We do have a unfilled gap here at 44 to about 46. I mean, you'd have to get a big run on that to fill that one. Definitely interesting there, though, testing that uptrend there. Definitely interesting. All right, let's see if I got some MU calls, and this is a brand new chain here. We only had 2 contracts or 1 contract traded on the day or for forever on this chain. Then we got 700 contracts coming in here. 11% out of the money, 11 days out. Seen put premium, ask side put premium. Again, that doesn't always mean everything. I wouldn't trade just strictly based on this. It's just another data point. 700, let's look at these. So I don't get any major context clues out of this one. Just that bid-ask spread is too wide for me there. I mean, it's a pretty, about a $50 bid-ask spread, and if you're trading size, that's not always favorable. And that one contract, I'm going to say, isn't related to that at all. I don't see anything in here that's making me think that it's not a buy. But again, that bid-ask is pretty wide there. And I mean, you're getting good premium on it, though. Just nothing in that IV sticking out majorly to me. So, I mean, like, this is something interesting there. Let's see, what are we at? 11% of the money. That's not too bad. How do some of our previous days look here? Yeah, I mean, it gets a lot of call inflow there. What else do we got on MU? Let's see. Term. Let's go in here and look. I gotta take out some of this in the money stuff. And let's do... Alright, let's see what we got here. Yeah, I'm just kind of looking, just a very quick glance to, I mean, more really long-term put. Okay, let's do the days to expiration as well, too. I always pass the days to expiration 100 times on this. It's always in this one. And let's get rid of multi-leg too. We don't want anything more than 15%. So, okay, we're just gonna leave this, and there's our DTE. Yeah, just kind of whittling it down to flow there. I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag. Obviously, some lower premiums there. I probably wouldn't really pay attention to those bottom 3, but call, put, call, call, put, call, put. I mean, that's a little too messy there for me. I mean, especially the short-term stuff. That short-term put's pretty interesting. Look at that. Have to check open interest on this one, but a lot of intraday volume there. 2,500, 2,510. If you made me guess, I would probably assume most of this will carry over, but again, earnings season, TSM reports on Wednesday, so could be maybe a play off that. You just never know. Just got to be really cautious around earnings season too. All right, how about these BEs and then these LKQs and then our LRCX? And if anybody wants me to look at anything too, feel free to drop it in the chat. So BE puts 123 days, pretty long term there. And a very volatile name. Let's go over here. So IV spikes when it comes in. Spot is filling at that ask price. Following that IV upward, staying up. It's a repeated hits descending fill, so I want to see where that is, and I can see it right here. So it's on 17 contracts, but kind of comparing that to everything else, can we overlook it? Possibly. I want to look at these other bid sides coming in here. So bid and a drop, come back up. You just kind of see how that IV's moving around a little bit in here, then it drops again. I I'm not comfortable taking flow like that just when it's all kind of all over the place, and it is on some decent size throughout the entire trade with some decent premium there. And then you just see that bid there at the end too, but that IV stays up. So one of those kind of more risky flows where, I mean, you see a good chunk of that's kind of bid side there. I'd say about 3/8 of the trade there. 8% out of the money too. I mean, very long term there. You can always position or throw your money somewhere else instead of wait that long. So let's do the LKQs, 220, 32, 5s. These overlap earnings. So this is an earnings flow. And this is interesting because absolutely no premiums traded on this one. And now we have a massive spike here. So this is going in the earnings flow channel for sure. Now again, just kind of doing the analysis on earnings doesn't mean it's going to be correct, even if all your rules are there for you. I mean, IV spikes, spot increases. It's a low historic volume floor trade, so you can see that here. I mean, look at how much option volume's usually traded on this one. Not much. And what are we doing down here? Let's see. I mean, we're trading 8 times the normal volume today. And this trade is 92% of that total volume. So that is something that should catch your eye. I'll say it without being too pushy on anything, but this is something that would catch my eye. Like this is, and let me just pop this in the chat, and then I'll show. Like if you wanted to play earnings on this, I would obviously wait a little bit till we get a little closer to the date, but a good way if I was going to play earnings. Let me throw this in that earnings chat. Now, okay, you see this earnings flow, you like, I probably don't want to pay 150 bucks for a contract. So let's go look at the 220 expiration on LKQ. So LKQ, we want to look at the 220. So okay, let's find something cheaper. Like you could always do like a 25, like, and again, everybody's port's different. Everybody has a different risk management. If you want to drop $100 on an earnings play, I mean that's totally up to you. I don't trade earnings again, but if I were to grab an earnings contract, it would be something cheap around that kind of 40, 30s. Yeah, I'm sure Jay-Z probably sees these LKQs right now and he's probably just happy. He's like, "Oh, that's interesting." But yeah, I mean like 30, 40 bucks, it's a lotto. Again, anything earnings is going to kind of be a lottery ticket. You might hit something major on it. Actually, I want to send him this chain just since I know he's probably talking about it, but I wanted to send him that chain. So yeah, I mean that's kind of how, like, if you were to play earnings, how I would kind of, I would be very, I wouldn't do a full position on anything at all. Oh, he messaged me back. What'd he say? he's like, he's like, WTF is this? So how about these 123, 240 calls? Let's take a peek at these. 8% out of the money, 11 days. That's kind of far out of the money for 11 days, but they're looking for a little bigger move essentially then. A lot of call volume here. Net call premium starting to rise, puts down. Let's look at our flow. Let's go take a peek there. So IV spikes on these. Again, little wide bid ask there. I tend to shy away from stuff like that. Doesn't overlap earnings, so it's not earnings related at all. So IV stays up. Spot fills at the ask. Technically, you're filling at 234, which that ask is 233. It doesn't really mean anything. You're essentially at the ask. I do see some bigger hits here after, and that timing, very similar timing. So again, this is just kind of a screen time thing. Like here where you're looking at that 14, 20, 48, this is all the same second. I would make a 99% educated guess. This is all related to each other. Now the flow after it, a little tougher, but I'm just kind of looking at the timing here. I mean, you are very, very similar timing. I would bet this is somewhat related here. So when it gets a little cloudy and foggy like that, I will find something else on that. And you are up kind of 2% on the day, almost 11 days out, 8% out of the money. A little more risky on something like that. About these DUOLs here. Again, another really... Oh yeah, I know it's Jay-Z. Oh. Oh, what the heck? Okay, I need to send him this. Otherwise I'm going to feel bad if he misses out on it. I gotta just send it like this. He's like, you just sent me a filter. Like, nope, sorry. Oh, look at that, actually. I want to go back here. Right when that flow came in, look at that thing just dropping. Wow. No movement on that contract, though. So, okay, we're going to look at those DUOLs. Let's see. So, spike in that net put premium. So, again, this is kind of another one where it's screen time. You're down 7.5% on the day. 25 days to go on these, out of the money 8%. I'm sure IV will be elevated on this because we are down so much on the day, so everybody is wanting puts. So let's see, how does it look when it comes in? IV spikes when it comes in, expected. IV's continuing to increase here. So the only issue on something like this, so oh, then actually our IV drops here at the end. So I was going to say the only issue with something like that is you're seeing more puts come in on something that's already down almost 7.5% on the day. That IV's already going to be elevated for that name because everybody wants puts and they're expecting a move down. Maybe more of a continued move down here. This is something I kind of wouldn't want to touch just because of that. And let's see what else we got coming in. Yeah, I mean, and kind of just comparing, I mean, that's not a lot of put premium compared to the previous days. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of puts coming in. I mean, could treat it as a lotto on something like that, but geez, 59% of the money, we don't care about that. Yeah, it's just, for me, you don't want to chase. You don't get that clean read on that name if it's already kind of made a big move versus a name that you find that hasn't really made a big move there. Jay-Z's like, I don't care about that. That's 38 days out. I'm like, I took time out of the stream to tell you that. And I get an I don't care. Oh. I'm never going to send him earnings flow again now. Good. Give him a bad time. Keep it going. Let's see, what else do we got in here? Some gold calls. I do not want to short anything gold related. I would not want to short metals right now. Too much volatility. I would rather continue to buy calls on metals versus anything short. Besides maybe a quick scalp, but 39 days out, I wouldn't want to hold them that long. Metals I would not want to short at all. Well, the Fed are cutting and there is uncertainty in the market. All right, what else do we got come in? Somebody throw me a couple tickers here to take a peek at. Tesla. Tesla, Nvidia. Okay. Let's go look at those. Apple, okay. 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 AMD. Okay. Oh, and you know what, Purple? You weren't in the thing. I gotta do AMD first because Purple that big net call premium there on that day there, it's still open. I ended up cutting my AMD calls Friday. I held out a little longer than I wanted, but that it closed below that uptrend, and I was like, it's gonna bounce back today. And of course, we get a 3-day. Yeah, I like AMD. Usually, I'm pretty good at trading AMD, but like we let me go find that here. AMD. It looked like a perfect spot for a bounce, and of course now it's gonna probably bounce because I cut my dang calls, but I mean, sitting right at that uptrend there, we did close below it. And at Purple, I was like, I don't know if you heard my stream from Friday. I was like, I love him, but like, man, I saw that and I was like, I'm just getting this based off a chart, and there was no flow. And the funny thing is with that flow that pushed it up that day, it was a lot of really deep in the money calls. So like that's kind of sometimes an issue. Like you don't know what's pushing up that net call premium, but that's why I'm like, don't trade just based off of it. You can kind of get an idea of what's sticking out. But all right, let's do a speed round here. I'm gonna hit all these names that came in here. So let's just do a really quick speed round, and you guys can kind of see how I look at that flow quick. So Tesla, 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 Tesla. So kind of flat on premiums. You would technically have an upside gap on the net call premium here. Again, doesn't always mean it's going to fill it. I just want to look at Gamma quick. Gamma, nothing really super interesting there. Okay, let's go back here to the main page. See if we can find any good contracts. Tesla, I'm really picky with on stuff like that. So Tesla. So we got really long dated calls, and 5% of the money, that is not an issue at all for Tesla. I mean, with how much Tesla moves, that's not a problem at all. So some previous open interest here. This is definitely opening, though I just want to kind of take a peek. That's interesting. I wonder if that's an had 1.6. Yeah, good chunk of that carried over. 442. So let's look at this. If I could click correctly. So this is multi-leg and it's shares involved here. So I don't like that part. Let's see, puts. How about these puts? 3% in the money here and a little shorter dated here. 47% multi-leg. Pass on those. Both these. So this is only 5% multi-leg. Would want to double check open interest on this one. I'm just doing them quick because I want to hit all these little tickers that are coming in here as well too. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything super interesting. This is probably your last chance for one here. What's this? 360, 427. I double check open interest on this one, but this could be an interesting chain here. Definitely, I mean, it's a brand new chain. We had no open interest on it. So this should be an easy one to see how much of that volume carries over into... Oh, is this multi-leg? Did I miss that? 11% multi-leg, that's not a big deal. Yeah, I double checked that one. So, okay, Tesla, let me do Nvidia. So some nice net call premium today. Put premium looks like it's starting to kind of tick up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you got a couple good days of net call premium there. So let's do volume over open interest. Let's do 65% ask side. We'll keep the multi-legs up because it doesn't really matter. It's not that much in there anyways. Multi-leg we'll ignore. How about these puts? These are the only ones that look like they are not related to anything. 1%, this is definitely an opener here. 4,900 contracts against 856 open contracts at the time. 34. So that IV kind of drops on those and it's coming in as a block trade there. Is our timing 48? Yeah, this one's not as clean. Like if this was one contract, I'd probably say it's that one. But 8, 9. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably lean openers on this if I had to, with that little spike in that put premium at the end of the day there. Let's see. So that was a 1. How about these 46 days? So we got 400 there. Would want to double check that open interest just with kind of the other little volume spikes in the previous one. Just kind of looking at this one. So this is a good example here. Same exact time. I mean, everything's lined up here. This is the same person here. I mean, and now even if this was like, let's say 11:03:50, you could make a really good educated guess. This is the same person. Just if you're a large whale opening contracts, so you can open 399 contracts or you're going to open 400. Just kind of a little educated guess. And again, that's a screen time thing. You just see the stuff after you look at this for so long. And I always tell people I've been doing unusual whales since like 22. So imagine how much screen time you have looking at this all day for 4.5 years on here. I mean, it takes a while, but it's easy to learn. It's just you gotta learn it from the correct people. That's all I'll say. So Nvidia, I'm not really seeing anything else there. That's too low premium for me to care about. Apple. Apple's getting some net call premium ask side today, bid side put premium, about 14 days. So biggest day of net call premium here for since 12/29 there. So good sign there. If you're looking long, but let's see here. So really short term in the money put. This just kind of came in as well. Like this, I would almost say these are short puts here. Hard to know. We don't have any context really to go off of on this one. Your spot, it's more on the ask, but it's more of a mid-ask fill, I'd say there, where it's more on like this. You can't really get anything out of this here. But that's huge size. I almost want to say they're short those puts. How far are they out of the money? Oh, they're in the money, duh. Yeah, that's tough. And it looks like this chain also has had some small modifications on it too. Yeah, and that's the thing with when you're in the money too, that bid ask can get a little skewed there. I'd want to lean short puts on those. Really long puts, we don't care about that. How about these calls? 46 days. Okay, big multi-leg though. How about these 18 days? That's not horrible here. Would want to definitely check that open interest though, but seeing a lot of ask side hits in here. Let's go look at some of the bigger candles. So IV spikes. Just kind of looking at that, and it's not a clean entry like some of that flow, so it kind of, I don't like it when it's not a clean entry like that. I mean, you're just kind of seeing that volume all over the place. I mean, the IV's kind of bouncing around on that. Yeah, like this, You can find better flow than this. This gets a little too mixed up, and I always tell people if I have to do surgery on the flow, I will pass on it. There's plenty of flow out there, and about 95% of the flow that you look at is not good anyways. So okay, we did Apple, let's do Amazon. Amazon, yeah, not really any bearish premiums coming in there, just bullish premiums there. See if we can find a good contract. Let's see if we can find a good contract for you. I'm gonna lower that ask side just a little bit. 100% multi-leg, don't care. So these look interesting. The 515 275 calls, not in the money. Again, they do overlap earnings. Oh, of course, it's an ugly looking candle. When did this volume start to kind of come in? So the 6th. Let's just do this. Yeah, so I mean, you see how there's not really any massive spikes in volume previously to this, so you know it's for sure an opener here. So let's look at this part of it, because it looks like this one's going to be a little messy. We'll look at it after, but so this one, again, a little trickier here. So I think we're still getting hits on this chain right now too. And you just kind of see how that IV is dropping. What is going on with this chain? Somebody likes this chain. But you just kind of see how that IV's at that 3480, drops a little bit, drops on the big size and premium. That's what catches my attention there. I don't like seeing it drop on the big size and premium. And now you're kind of getting all this other flow after the fact too, and kind of makes sense since we had this flow before it too. I want to look at this flow and not get distracted. So yeah, I'm just seeing how that flow comes in. Like so this is one of those like block trades that I'm talking about when you usually kind of see them. Let me just do some crappy magic here. You'll usually see it. There's no flow before it or anything. You don't really have anything to go off of. But when you do have something to go off of it, like I'm looking at that 1435 here, I will bet you whatever you want. This is all connected. Whatever you want to bet, I will say it's connected. That IV drops on the big size and premium. I don't like this. Now again, just because that IV drops, it doesn't mean that the flow's not going to work out. It's not 100% a science. That's the thing. You just have to kind of follow your context clues, and more often than not, the flow does work out in your favor. Again, it's at least on the way that I'm tracking it. I mean, you go back and look at the spreadsheet. I don't want to get too financial advice-y in here, but I mean, more often than not, you'll see some profits with the flow, but you just have to manage it properly. Yeah, I mean, you see how that IV drops there. I don't like that. And again, doesn't mean just because it's going to drop, doesn't mean it's not going to work out. Amazon could shoot up $5 tomorrow. You just never know. So Amazon, okay, let's do... So AMD, we looked at the net premiums, but not the contracts. Probably should have did that when we were looking at that. All right, let's do volume open interest. Let's do 55%. So long dated 515 275 call here. No multi-leg on this one. I really like that. Why is it showing? What the hell? Am I crazy, or did people not see me put in AMD there? Or am I crazy? I think I might be crazy. Okay, let's try this again. I was gonna say, hey, look at that. So AMD, really deep in the. So this is like what was pushing it up that 1-day purple stop sign. This is what was kind of pushing up that premium, that really deep in the money premium, because you're paying so much for those contracts. they're going to push up that premium easily. Let's look at these 18-day out ones. 4% of the money I can deal with. 3% multi-leg. This I can't deal with because when you look at it, do you want to tell me where that whale entered, where they exited, what's going on? Without that open interest change, we won't know. But like this is just messy. Like you can't show me one singular candle where that whale's coming in now. Let's just kind of go back here and look. And that entire chain is pretty messy here, and we don't know. Maybe it's this whale here that got in on the 12th. Why is it showing like that? Okay, ignore me there. This one we just don't know, just because there's so many contracts looking like they're changing hands there. Oh, why am I looking at AMD? Oh, I knew I shouldn't have looked at AMD there. Only because Purple asked me. So let's do Nike next. Nike. A lot of put outflow here. Seeing a lot of bid side puts. That's, I would say, bull or bears are probably done shorting that, then kind of seeing that. Could have some multi legs in there though. That's the issue because I didn't see a lot of call premiums coming in. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. I'm not gonna switch that. But we are getting a lot of deep in the money puts coming in. This is all arbitrage. Don't pay attention to it, especially that 4-day expiration. This is we don't care about this. We do not care about this at all. And just why don't we care about this? Look at all this volume in here. None of it's carrying over, nothing. It's just garbage. It's a garbage chain. We don't care about it. Just garbage. Absolute garbage. So Nike, how about these 11-day ones? These might be a little more favorable. Only 46K in premium though, but what do we got? 490 there. You want to double check open interest tomorrow, but how's the flow look? Again, block trade here. So what we were just kind of talking about where you don't have any flow around it to see how that Ivy gets impacted when this whale opens up those contracts. So, okay, we will move on. So let's see, Google here. Google. And Google, I believe it was Thursday, there was actually some good flow that got posted. But yeah, just kind of looking at Google here, I mean, I'll go back 14 days. I usually leave it at 14 just so I can kind of get a midterm view. But lots of net call, ask side call premium coming in. Not a bear in sight, not a bear at all in that area. So let's kind of take a peek here. Volume open interest. This I am going to have to filter a little bit. So big multi-leg. About these 385 calls. Kind of log dated and a little higher multi-leg percent. $7.92, but I like this how that IV is kind of rising when it comes in. Spots filling at that ask essentially, and the reason you saw that spot drop there is because that price dropped as well to about 29 cents or so there. So that's why you saw that drop. Now the part I don't like here is that ending with another IV drop there. Let's see. How about these puts? So 827. So whatever this is definitely opening here. 827 contracts. We only had 390. Whatever this is for sure opening. 1% out of the money. I would like that. You're very close. 26. So IV spikes when it comes in. We're filling at the ask. stays up. IV increases here. Spot price stays the same. Small little drop here. And then we have a bigger spike here at the end here. And we got another bid here on one contract. How about these other guys? I would probably lean these are buy to open here. I would probably say those are buy to open. I just wouldn't like shorting it with all that net call premium there. But that flow could be worth a shot. So let's see. We will. So, Brad, I'm gonna answer your question quick on Tesla. I didn't really see anything on Tesla when we just looked at it. Tesla is it would take a while to explain Tesla here. Tesla flow is very, very volatile. I didn't see anything on there. If you see me post Tesla flow, typically I've really looked at it. But you just get so much flow on Tesla, so much retail on it, so I kind of try to avoid it. But we do get some good Tesla flow plays every once in a while. And let me grab DraftKings here too quick. So DraftKings, what do we got? Big spike in that net call premium there on Friday. Not really seeing a big reaction today. So essentially that net premium gap would still be left open. A lot of call volume there on Friday. I want to see what kind of did that call volume as well on Friday. Let me go back to Friday quick. So a lot of call volume that came in. So it looks like, I want to see what time that volume kind of spiked on Friday. So this was 10:50 to 11 Central Time. I'm Central Time. So this candle is pretty much responsible for that spike there, and it's out of the money. And just kind of looking at this too, oh, it's only 3% of that total volume, so interesting. But I mean, that premium wise, that's what caused that spike there. I was expecting that percent to be a little higher, but I want to look at this flow for DraftKings. So it's a big multi-leg trade. Big multi-leg trade. Oh, it won't even let me pull it into that profit calculator because it's so many different little sections of that. So nothing new on that one. So let's go to today's flow. Oh, let me reset this. DraftKings volume open interest. Man, we are not getting nothing really on this one. We'll do it like this. Yeah, your biggest premium, it looks like, is at 116.32 call today. And this has a ton of previous open interest here. Looks like most of that started coming in here back on October 31st. So there's that. So don't know what's kind of could be taking profits here. Hard to really know. Let's see. I don't see a lot of big volume spikes, and that open interest not really changing. I think that original whale's still in those two. So yeah, that could be some profit taking there. But for new chains, I'm not really seeing much of interest, especially with everything kind of having a lot of open interest already. 12.8. So that was your big candle there. I do like DraftKings just kind of from a macro position too with NFL playoffs. You got basketball, hockey, everything going on right now. Let's test that uptrend. It's having issues getting back into that uptrend though. Extend this out here a little bit if it lets me. Yeah, I mean you're sitting right at that 200 day on the daily. It's right at that uptrend, and it's having issues getting above that uptrend. I clearly see. I mean, a lot of light volume in here as well too. When do we have earnings? 31 days. Yeah, that's definitely an interesting one there. Let's see if anything interesting came in here. American Airlines Delta reports tomorrow morning. Could be a little side bet on that. Opening 729. See, like these, I like these because again, 3 seconds apart. Educated guess, it's all the same whale. IV is increasing. Spot price also is increasing. Like this is some really good flow here. I'm gonna actually post this too quick. What do we got? A minute left. I gotta get this guy in there quick. And again, like this is something that's probably relying on that earnings tomorrow. But let's get that in there. Come on. No, like the thing with flow is like you just don't know. Like is this a earnings bet on Delta beating in the morning? Just kind of hard to know. Just kind of hard to know. But you just got to kind of base it off that specific name too. Just since that whale's targeting that specific contract. How's the market finishing? Just kind of a choppy finish there. I gotta look at AMD here quick one more time. Oh, I don't feel bad because it rejected that uptrend again. Nothing more. That's more than likely a little hedge there going into CPI tomorrow. CPI. The tide flinch at all anymore. Oh, premiums. Everything except for all call premiums is in bid side now. Kind of a flat end. DraftKings. Yeah, not getting really anything else cores puts here. I don't like trading cores. Not really a big fan in this one. You wouldn't know 739 and about 740 there. Hard to know what carries over on something like that. But alright everyone, thanks for hanging out for Power Hour. Probably have another one of these tomorrow. Should have some more flow. But have a great night. Thanks for hanging out, and we will be back at it tomorrow.